Hello and welcome to the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Von Arx, here doing a solo episode to discuss 6 print on demand trends in 2024. It's important to remember that one of the easiest ways to increase your sales is to create for the demand. So that is what this episode is dedicated for. By knowing what's trendy and what people are actually buying right now, we can work to meet that demand. And as a result, we can create a more sustainable and profitable brand for the long term. So in this episode, I'm going to be sharing 6 super popular design trends right now that you can use to create for the demand, catch the eye of your ideal customer, and convert shoppers into followers. And be sure to listen until the end because I'm going to actually be sharing a pro tip, or I should say a bonus tip that I can guarantee you is going to be absolutely huge this year. So technically it's going to be 7 print on demand trends. But real quick, before we begin, if you haven't already, I think you know what I'm going to ask. If you are enjoying this podcast, please subscribe to the podcast, or if you are watching it on YouTube, smash that subscribe button. We really appreciate the support. It helps us get the channel out to more people, and it ensures that you never miss an episode. So with that, thank you for being here, and let's jump in. Welcome to the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. In this episode, we're going to be discussing 6 print on demand design trends in 2024 that you can use to level up your designs and, more importantly, level up your sales. I'm also going to be sharing a bonus trend at the end, so make sure that you listen to the entire thing. This one is guaranteed to explode this year, and I'm actually already seeing quite a bit of it already. However, before we get into the main event, I want to shout out one of our amazing listeners because you guys know we love you, we appreciate you, and we want you to feel seen and heard. We love to just acknowledge those who take the time to write us these very kind 5-star reviews. So this review is from It's Kaya, or It's Kia, and they wrote us a 5-star review saying, "First ever podcast to grab my attention." The review goes as follows. That was a headline. The review goes as follows. "Oh my God, as a new listener, I am loving this podcast so much. I never knew I needed this, but here I am, binging the podcast from YouTube to Apple Spotify podcast, and it is getting me through the workday. These episodes are so super concise and easy to follow. I'm finally excited to start my print on demand journey. You guys are awesome." Thank you so much, It's Kia, for the very kind review. We really appreciate that. I'm so excited to hear that this has helped you get to a point where you're excited to take action, because one thing about this is it has to be fun. Like, you have to enjoy doing this. So I'm so glad that you're feeling enthusiastic and inspired. And I would love to hear about how everything goes. So hit me up on Instagram anytime at ecomlegendsacademy.com. And we really appreciate you. So thank you so much. All right. Without further ado, let's just jump into the main event. So this is 6 print on demand design trends in 2024. And I'm just going to come right out of the gate with the first one. And that trend is the bubbly, retro, groovy fonts. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, or if you aren't doing any design research, you probably know what this is. So only if you haven't been doing design research or looking at other popular best-selling designs, you might not be familiar with this. But what I'm referring to is the big, bubbly, just very kind of 70s hippie-inspired fonts. Now, These have actually been trendy for quite a while. They were huge in 2023. They're huge in 2024. And I've actually even started to see them evolve to kind of another level. So, one thing that you might start seeing more of, if you haven't seen it already, is they're starting to get, I don't know how to explain it, drippy. Like they're starting to look liquidy, almost like the words or the font is melting, if you know what I mean. I feel like this is kind of the evolution of the hippie, groovy retro font, but the original one is still very, very popular. There are a ton of fonts that look big and bubbly and groovy and 70s, and you can find them all over the place. Kittle has some, Canva has some, Creative Fabrica has some, Duff Font has some. They're everywhere right now, and people just seem to be loving them. You'll notice that if you go on Etsy for design research, there's a ton of these designs with those big bubbly fonts. So what I recommend is finding a way, if it makes sense, to incorporate those into some of your designs. Now, maybe for all designs, it won't make sense, but for most niches that I think of, this could easily make sense. Just having that big, bubbly, trendy font. My personal favorite one is Keep On Truckin', and I think I bought it from Etsy. I think it's actually a font that I purchased from Etsy. I think theirs is amazing. There's so many other good ones though. Like it's definitely not the only one. On Instagram, I do some mini demos where I actually show that font, Keep On Truckin', to show you guys what it looks like. So you can head over there and check those out if you want. Um, and one thing I want to point out, kind of like a pro tip, I guess you could say, is the designs that I see doing well with this font tend to be less wordy designs. So, for example, they might just be 1, 2, 3 words or a slogan, or it might be a couple words repeated over and over. So, you'll have a line that says, let's just say something like, have a nice day in the groovy, bubbly font. And then you'll see it kind of carbon copied below maybe 4 or 5 times. That's really trendy right now as well. And I see those two put together a lot. Speaking of two put together a lot, this actually leads me into the second design trend for print on demand for 2024, and that is the wavy fonts. Now, you've probably also seen this, and you've probably seen both the groovy, retro, hippie font put together with the wavy fonts. So let's go back to that example that I mentioned, have a nice day or have a great day, or yeah, something like that. Let's say have a nice day. A lot of times it'll be both a bubbly, retro groovy font, plus it'll be wavy. And that's the one also that I see a lot of the times it's carbon copied multiple times. So you'll just see the same slogan carbon copied 4 or 5 times on a shirt or on a product. That's really trendy right now. And these wavy text, I know a lot of people are like, how the heck do you do this? And for a while, there wasn't really a good way to do it on somewhere like Canva, which is where I know a lot of people like myself use. Easy design software like Canva or Kittle. And there is actually ways to do it on Canva. I have a mini tutorial on Instagram, again, showing exactly how to do that. It's called T-shirt Design Hacks. It's a series that I have where I kind of share how to make these trendy designs, or trendy design elements, I should say. And so you can do it in Canva. You can do it in Photoshop. Photoshop is probably the OG, like original place where people were doing it. If you know Photoshop, do Photoshop or Photo P. A lot of print on demand sellers are using Photo P, which is essentially a clone of Photoshop, but it's free with ads. So you could use that as well and do it. But also in design software like Kittle, they have pre-made design templates with the wavy element already built into the template. So what's really cool about this is you just go in there and you just change the words. You just change the slogan and it's already got that wavy element applied. So you really don't need to do much work to do it. It's really just changing out the words as if it wasn't even didn't have the wavy element. It's really that simple. So this is something that I definitely recommend doing. Probably the first time I ever saw this design was with a really popular brand called Antisocial Social Club. I don't know if you're familiar with them. A lot of celebrities seem to wear them, and it's just a really popular brand that's actually been around for quite some time. But their original kind of slogan, or maybe I should say their best selling design, is Antisocial Social Club, where it's distorted and it almost looks kind of wavy. That was like the first time I ever saw this, and now it's literally everywhere. The wavy fonts are everywhere. So I do recommend jumping on this trend again if it makes sense. I think it can make sense for almost any niche. So I do recommend jumping on these trends because remember, you want to create for the demand. If this is what people like, if this is what people are drawn to, if this is what you're seeing everyone buying and wearing, you should be taking clues from that success. Remember, success leaves clues. We want to be able to look at what's selling, reverse engineer it, and then take those success clues and apply them to our own designs and products. That is why I am very bullish on jumping on these trends and giving people what they want. If this is what people want, give it to them. At least try it out, right? You've got nothing to lose. You could even remix a design. This is just coming to me on a whim, but you could even take one of your best-selling designs from the past or one of your existing best-selling designs, and you could remix it into bubbly font with the wavy design element, and maybe you have it multiple times over on the shirt, or maybe you just have it once. But jumping on these trends and just being kind of on top of these things, I feel like it makes a brand just look more alive. Like it looks like they're aware and they are creating for the demand. It looks like they're an on-trend brand, and I'm always for that. So let's talk about the third print-on-demand design trend of 2024. And this one also could go hand in hand with the last two. So we talked about the bubbly, retro, groovy font. We talked about wavy fonts or wavy design elements or graphics. And the third one is grainy, distressed, grunge texture. Man, that is like a tongue twister to say. But you've probably seen these before. So a lot of the times, maybe you noticed that a design, or probably a lot of designs that you've seen lately, they're really inspired by like 60s, 70s, 80s retro designs. I would say more like 70s, probably retro designs. But a lot of them have this faded, washed out kind of retro look. And that is very, very trendy right now. So this is something that we've had a lot of success selling, and we've seen a lot of other people have a lot of success selling. And there's actually a number of things to know about this. So first of all, fonts, there are fonts that have that textured, grainy, distressed look built in, meaning when you write out a word or a slogan, it'll already look distressed, which is super cool, right? It's already done for you. It's already built in. There are also a lot of design templates, especially on programs like Kittl. I've seen a ton of these. Just if you're using Kittl, go to the t-shirt templates and just select 60s, 70s retro and go through those designs. You'll see that a ton of them, the entire design is already distressed. So that's really cool because it has a sort of a matching aesthetic. It's not just the font, it's any graphic elements as well. The entire thing is distressed. It looks really good and it's super trendy right now as well. One thing that I did want to mention about Kittl real quick is I recently have been collaborating with Kittl, and as an affiliate, they've given me an exclusive promotional code for my community, which gives them 50% off the first month of the pro plan if they use the code Adrian Von Arx. So I'll mention this in the show notes as well. It's totally up to you if you use the link. I'll drop the link in there. They also have a free plan, so you can totally try out their free plan. But if you do like it as much as I do, because I use and love it, and you are going to upgrade to a pro plan, use this promotional code and get 50% off the first month. Why not, right? So it's a design software that I've been really loving over the last quite a few months now, actually, and one that I'm starting to mention a lot because what I'm finding is it feels like it was made for print-on-demand sellers. So I'm all for that. And what I also like about it is that it just has a ton of very professional looking, on trend, pre-made design templates. And what I love about these is that you could just simply change out the words or change out the graphic and you're done. Literally, you can create super trendy designs in minutes, and they're always adding more. So that's all I'm going to say about that for now. I'm a big fan. If you're using it, you're probably a big fan. I know it's really popular with print-on-demand sellers, so I just wanted to mention it. But going back to this grainy, stressed grunge texture, I wanted to share one of my personal favorite fonts. I've been using this font for years, and this is a font family. So the font family is called Edmund. That's Edmund. And they have a special font in that Edmund font family called Edmund Texture. And what I like about this font is, first of all, it already has a very vintage look and feel. So aside from the fact that it's distressed, it already looks very vintage, which you know by now is super trendy. And it kind of goes the next step because it has the grunge effect built in as well. So anything that you write on there using the Edmund grunge font, you'll see that it has that grainy distressed look and it looks super good. So this font, you can get it, I think you can buy it online in a lot of places, but you can also get it in Creative Fabrica. So if you do have a membership like I have for Creative Fabrica, which I love using for fonts and for design graphics, those are my favorite reasons for Creative Fabrica, it's included in your membership. So I have the annual membership and you get access to all these fonts. I think it's like 129,000 fonts or something. It's always growing. There's just a ridiculous amount of fonts and just ridiculous amount of graphics. But if you do have that membership, then you should try out that font. You can also go buy it other places too. You can just Google Edmund family or Edmund font and you'll find it there because it is super popular. I've actually seen it a lot. I've been using it for years and I really like it. It's been really popular and I highly recommend it. So a little kind of pro tip that I want to share as well about the grunge effect is, and this is actually something that I only learned in the last 6 months or so. This is huge. So when I started creating designs with the grunge effect, what I found was I would use a font like Edmund Texture, but then I had design elements and I didn't know how to texture those design elements, those design graphics, so that they looked similar to the font. So the font would be textured and then the design elements would not be. But what's really cool, aside from the fact that Kittl already has a ton of pre-made design templates that have that grainy distress grunge look, they also have a super simple to use feature called the texture feature. And literally, it only takes a few clicks to make any font or any design, any graphic elements, anything. You can make them textured. So that is a kind of like a hack, a pro tip. I know a lot of people in Canva in particular have been trying to figure out a way for a long time. And there are some workarounds in Canva to make fully textured designs, but I will say they're not as good as this built-in texture feature. And they definitely aren't as quick either. So I would recommend this over trying to do it in Canva, just because overall it looks a lot better. If you've used it, you know what I'm talking about. I also did a mini tutorial on this on Instagram as well. That's also part of my t-shirt design hacks series. So that's t-shirt design hacks part 4, where I show you exactly how to do that in Kittl, because this has been kind of a mystery and something that people wanted for so long. And I'm so happy to report that finally there's a program that you can do this very, very easily. Of course, you can do something like this in Photoshop or Photoshop, it seems like you could do anything in. However, most of us don't know Photoshop, or we're not versed in Photoshop, or we're not graphic designers. And if you're anything like me, you feel like Photoshop has a very high barrier to entry. It's almost like you almost have to take a course on it just to learn how to do some really simple things. So I don't use Photoshop that much. I strongly prefer to use either Canva or Kittl when I'm creating my designs. It just allows you to create your designs a lot faster, which means that you get more designs out faster, and you eventually will find that winner faster, because you do your design research, you create the design, you put it out there, you test, and then if that doesn't hit or if that doesn't take off, you just move on. The higher volume you can do of high quality professional looking designs, especially the ones on trend, the more likely you're going to get to that 6-figure design in a fraction of the time. So this is something that I recommend. Never spend too much time creating a design. A lot of times the designs that we spend the most time on, if your experience is anything like mine, they end up being total flops. And a lot of times the simplest designs end up being the ones that take off. Remember, simple sells. People just like simple designs. Yes, more complex designs can do well, but a lot of people just like them simple. And with programs like Canva and Kittl, it's never been easier to create really, really nice, aesthetically pleasing, kind of leveled up, professional looking designs with just a few clicks. So, and you don't have to be a professional graphic designer to use these tools. I am far from it, and these tools are just very simple to use. So that's a pro tip for the grainy, distressed grunge texture. Be sure, if you are creating your designs in Kittl and it doesn't already have that in the pre-made template, if it doesn't already have a texture over it and you want to add one, or if you even have this design from somewhere else, like another program, and you bring it into Kittl, you can apply the texture sort of filter on it. And there's actually a ton of different textured options too. So you can go through and you can look at all the different ones. And then when you find the one you like, boom, literally with a couple of clicks, it's done. Your entire design has that grainy, distressed grunge look. I still can't say it. It is so hard. Try saying that 5 times fast. That is so tough. All right. So the fourth tip, the fourth print on demand design trend for 2024 that I want to share, and you probably have seen this one as well, is the pastel neutral muted colors, or the muted color palette. So what I'm referring to here is colors like the soft pink, the soft blue, the soft peach, the soft yellow, the soft brown, the soft green. Did I mention that? There's just pretty much any color, but in a very light pastel-y kind of in a pastel-y color. So you've probably seen this on a lot of designs, but it's not just the designs. You've probably also noticed that a lot of products also that are popular right now have those sort of pastel colors. So these are really popular right now. They've been popular for a while, but they are just very trendy. And if you want an example of this in the form of a product, look no further than the viral sensation Stanley Cup tumbler. It is blowing up right now. There are people everywhere with these things. You've probably seen the viral videos of people in Target running for this pile of Stanley tumblers and fighting each other for these tumblers. But one thing, there's a lot of reasons why it went so viral. A big part of it is marketing, and they tapped into the creator economy and they hired a lot of content creators and like mommy creators and whatnot to promote this. But there's a number of things that they did well in their strategy, and I like hats off to them. Kudos to them. They have absolutely crushed it with sales, and I'm seeing those sold everywhere now. So one thing about it, though, that one of the many things is that if you look at the color palette of the Stanley Cup tumbler, a lot of them are in pastel colors. Why would they do that? Well, because it's trendy, because that is just trendy right now. So they're just jumping on a trend. Very smart, right? You go back to the whole success leaves clues. They probably had a marketer or a product designer or a product creator who was like, hey, here's a bright idea. How about instead of black, white, or just boring colors for a tumbler, why don't we make them cool, on trend pastel colors? And I mean, the sales speak for themselves. It's absolutely blowing up. And I'm only giving that as an example, but there are a ton of designs and styles right now that are in those sort of muted pastel colors. And I do recommend trying this out for yourself. So one example of a product that's really popular right now, you probably, well, maybe you know this, maybe you don't. So I'm going to share it with you. One of the best selling sweatshirts right now is the Gildan 18,000 crew neck sweatshirt. And one of the colors that I'm seeing everywhere for this sweatshirt is the sand color. Now, the sand color is essentially a neutral brown. It's just a very light, earthy brown color. And if you go on Etsy and you look at sweatshirts and you look at mock-ups, you're going to see a ton of mock-ups and a ton of products for sale that are that kind of earthy brown color. It's super trendy right now. I definitely recommend trying it out for yourself, especially if it makes sense for your brand. There's the kind of usual suspect best-selling colors. The top three are black, white, and gray. But every once in a while, every year, there are trendy colors. And by jumping on these trendy colors, you can not only give more options to your customers, but you can be on trend. And so maybe all you do is you take your best selling designs or your best selling design and you create a limited edition color on something like one of these sand color t-shirts or sand color sweatshirts, and you just offer it as another option because it's a trendy seasonal color. So I definitely recommend jumping on this. If you are selling sweatshirts, which are one of the best selling apparel items right now, I highly recommend selling them. They even sell really well through the spring and the summer these days because it's just such a trendy product. A lot of people are wearing these oversized sweatshirts. So oversized sweatshirts are trendy, but then you throw an on-trend color on there. You've got a double trendy product. It's amazing. And what I like to do is I like to usually put like a black font over the light kind of brown. You could do a white font as well, but if it's that really light kind of sand brown, I do feel like black looks really good on it, especially with the direct to garment. I think it looks really, really good. So the Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt in the sand color is very, very trendy right now. And then the other neutral, kind of neutral inspired product that is very trendy right now that I wanted to share with you is the Comfort Colors 1717. So maybe you're selling this. Some print on demand companies do offer this. I know for sure Printify offers this. And man, these are very trendy right now. Like Bella and Canvas 3001 is like my all-time favorite t-shirt. It's like the OG of t-shirts, and it's still selling really well. They do offer it in neutral colors as well. So you should see if your print-on-demand provider offers it in some neutral colors, and you can drop it as like for new designs or as like limited edition products. But what's nice about the comfort colors and why I think they're so popular is essentially the entire collection, the entire color palette of the Comfort Colors 1717 t-shirt is kind of faded. It kind of has a natural faded, neutral, muted color to it. And maybe there are some that aren't like that, but the ones that I see selling the best with Comfort Colors, they are the neutral, kind of faded, retro looking t-shirts. And it's interesting. By now, you might have noticed. So we've gone through 4 of these print on demand trends. Do you notice a commonality between these 4? I'm curious. We've talked about bubbly, retro, groovy fonts. We've talked about wavy fonts. We've talked about grainy, distressed, grunge textures. And then we've talked about these pastel, neutral, faded, retro, vintage colors. The common denominator with these first 4 is that they're all old school. Like they're all nostalgic, kind of throwback colors and styles and textures. And it seems to be a really common trend right now. So it's funny, whenever I watch a show like Stranger Things, which takes place, I think, in the 80s. Great show, by the way. I love Stranger Things. But I noticed that a lot of people are wearing those same styles. And a lot of those styles seem to be really trendy right now. And so it's almost like the past is just repeating itself with trends. And right now, it's all about the 70s and 80s. Maybe that'll change. I'm sure it will in the future. But right now, that's what it's all about. These first 4, that's what they are. And the 5th one I'm going to share with you is also totally in line with that retro vintage style. And the 5th one, the 5th print-on-demand design trend in 2024 is these retro cartoon character mascots. I don't know if you've seen these before, but they are popping off. Like they are all over the place. And if you look at a marketplace like Etsy, you'll see these. You can just type in something like retro character or retro cartoon character graphic, and you'll probably find these on Etsy. And the cool thing about them is you don't have to create them from scratch. If you've seen these, you might have been like, where are these coming from? How do you create these? Who's creating these? Well, I've got good news for you because a ton of them are already pre-created and you can repurpose them for your designs. So first off, you can find a ton of these in Kittl if you go to t-shirt templates and just search cartoon character. Just go into the t-shirt templates, search cartoon character, and you're going to find a whole bunch of these. If you are using Canva, you can find these in Canva as well. Go into Canva and type in search retro groovy cartoon. And you're going to see a bunch of these characters come up as well. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's essentially these cartoon mascots in all sorts of shapes. And what I'm noticing is a lot of people are using kind of holiday inspired designs with these mascots. So I've seen pumpkin mascots used for Halloween inspired designs. I've seen Christmas tree cartoon mascots used for Christmas. I've seen heart mascots used for Valentine's inspired designs. I've seen coffee mascots. And again, this is something that I've talked about on Instagram. I've shared some mini tutorials showing you what these look like and where you can find them because they are really trendy. And these can be repurposed for a lot of different niches. So I highly recommend checking it out. They're really easy to use. You just find a pre-made design or find the design graphic and then turn it into a design for your niche. So that's another really trendy one right now. Super easy trend to use because the mascots are pre-created and something that you might want to try out for yourself. All right. Next, tip number 6. I should say print on demand design trend number 6. And I'm actually going to move away from just designs itself. So I've been talking a lot about specifically design trends, and this is a very popular print on demand trend right now. It really blew up over the last year. And I believe it's because Printify actually allowed their sellers to use this. They unlocked that feature last year through one of their print providers called SPOD. So this trend is sleeve prints. Sleeve prints. So I don't know if you've seen this already, but this is absolutely exploding right now. So an example of this would be a sweatshirt. This is one that I've seen a lot. A sweatshirt that has big blocky letters across the chest that says mama, and then below it in smaller letters, it'll say established whatever year it was. So let's say you're a new mom in 2024. It'll say mama established 2024. And then on the sleeve, they'll have something additional printed on there. So it might be the baby's name, it might be the date of birth, but this is just one example of sellers offering the sleeve prints where it's really cool, right? So that would be example of a personalized or customized design, which is very popular right now, and it's totally unique to everyone, which is really, really cool, right? You're not going to see a lot of brands offering this because it can be a bit of extra work for brands. And so this is kind of a way to differentiate from other brands. However, you don't have to just offer sleeve prints for personalized or customized designs. So another thing that I see a lot is I'll see someone wearing a sweatshirt, or I'll see a sweatshirt for sale. And instead of having something custom like a birth date or a wedding date or a child's name, or a pet name. That's another one you can do. You can have a shirt that says dog mom, and then you can have your pet's name on the sleeve. It's a really cool trend, and there's so many places you can go with it. So I encourage you to think outside the box and maybe consider trying this out. Even if you're not doing personalized custom products, they don't have to be personalized, customized designs on the sleeve. So an example of one that wouldn't be personalized or customized, another one that I've seen is little quotes on the sleeve. So maybe you're in the Christian niche and you have a really powerful Bible quote and you have that design on the sleeve. This just adds another element to the product that's really cool. Maybe it's an empowering slogan that someone can look at anytime, and it just makes them feel empowered. It makes them feel inspired. It makes them feel good. Other things I've seen on there are design elements or design graphics. Sometimes it's as simple as a heart. It could be a heart, or it could be some other shape, something that means something to someone, or something that's just trendy. There's a lot of different ways that you can use this. So this might be something that you want to try out. There might be other print-on-demand companies that offer this, but I just know for sure that Printify does offer it. And if you use Swift POD, that's the print provider that offers this. That is also one of their highest rated and definitely one of their best print providers that I would recommend. Not all their print providers are good, I will say that, and they're not all created equal. So you want to be very selective when you are looking for a print provider. There's a few that I definitely recommend with Printify, and SPOD is definitely, or Swift POD is definitely one of those. So you're in good hands with them. Remember, no production or print provider is ever perfect. They never will be, but there's some that are a whole lot better and more consistent than others, and that's one of them that I recommend. All right. So that is the 6 print on demand trends for 2024. And I really hope that you try some of these out for yourself if you have not already. But now I want to share with you a bonus trend. And this trend is actually very unique to 2024. So 2024 is an election year here in the US. And what that means is you're going to see, well, if you're in the US, you are going to see a ton of election inspired designs. Usually, in a lot of cases, they're funny campaign parody designs. And I want to encourage you to think outside the box here, because a lot of you might be thinking, well, I would only do that if I was in the political niche. Absolutely not. You do not need to be just in the political niche to do this. There are a lot of people that are going to make a lot of sales that are not in that niche, but they are still creating funny campaign parody designs. So remember, you want to be where the attention is, right? 2024, even the closer we get to the election, the more the attention is really going to ramp up. And if you're in the US, you're going to start seeing ads everywhere and you're going to start seeing designs everywhere. But I want to encourage you, if you're a non-political brand, to still consider creating one of these parody shirts. I find that the funny parody shirts tend to perform the best. They seem to be the ones that people love wearing. So a couple of years back, there was this slogan that I think the whole world is familiar with. That is the Make America Great Again slogan. And you may or may not know this, but there are countless parodies on this slogan. A couple just to like tell you that I've seen, just to share with you a couple that I've seen. One is Make Tacos Great Again. Another one is Make America Meditate Again. So that could be good for like the spirituality niche. But what I'm loving is that these brands in non-political niches are finding ways to incorporate designs that are related to where the attention is right now. And that's just an example of a very famous slogan that there were a lot of parodies on. But other ones that you're going to see throughout the year are things like blank for President 2024. And this could be literally anything. If you're in the dog niche, you can say my dog for president in 2024. Or maybe you offer personalized, customized products and you can let people input a name themselves. Maybe they'll put their dog's name, Coco for president in 2024. Just it'll look like a political design, but it'll clearly be a parody on it. Another one that you're going to see is something like Beth 2024. So Beth Dutton from the show Yellowstone, she is very popular and her name is referenced on a lot of shirts, which first of all is a huge mistake. I would never recommend that. That is just a blatant trademark infringement waiting to happen. That can get an account terminated on Etsy. It can get you into some legal trouble. So I never recommend actually using people's names. But the way that I see people getting around this is they'll just use the first name. And because that person is so popular in pop culture, people will just know who they are. I've seen so many designs that say Beth Dutton 2024, but I bet you could get away with just saying Beth 2024 or Beth D for president, something like that. And everyone will know who you're talking about. Another one that is very popular right now, of course, you want to talk about pop culture, you got to talk about Taylor Swift. She is one of the biggest stars right now. She's got the Swift Army and she's just everywhere. There are a lot of trademark infringers on Etsy selling Taylor Swift stuff. And again, please do not do this. I would never recommend this. I would stay away from that with 10-foot pole. But a workaround for this is saying something like Taylor for president or Taylor 2024. everyone's going to know who you're talking about. She is just always in the media right now and just so iconic. So I definitely recommend finding a creative way to incorporate this trend, because you're going to see these parody shirts everywhere in the US in 2024. I can't speak for other countries, but if you're selling to the US market, you're going to see these absolutely everywhere. So that is the bonus trend. I kind of separated it because it's one of those trends that actually comes back every 4 years. So these, campaign political inspired designs were huge back in 2020. They were huge in 2016. They're always big. Like every election year, they're big. You can bet that in 2028, they're going to be big as well. But we're in the beginning of 2024. The election isn't until near the end of the year. So you've still got a lot of time to take advantage of these. So if you do have any ideas or any fun kind of parodies that you can incorporate your niche into these campaign or election inspired designs, go for it. Try it out. Why not? Right? That's where the attention is right now. And a lot of people are going to be buying these. If you haven't seen them already, I guarantee you're going to see these out in the streets in the US. I've seen people at my gym with these. I've seen people at malls with these. They're everywhere, and it's only going to get more popular as we get closer to the election. So that is it for this episode. I'm going to wrap it up there, but I did want to say, if you enjoyed this episode and if you found it valuable, if you like hearing about print on demand trends that you can take and you can go and apply to your brand to improve the chances that designs or products will convert into sales, let me know. DM me on Instagram at Ecom Legends Academy, and I'd love to hear from you. So if you want to see more of these, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I could talk about this for hours. I've got so many more print on demand trends that I could share. So I could easily do a part 2 of this in the future. And the thing is, they're always changing. These design trends, they're always changing too. So what I like about being in the know about these and kind of being on top of them is a lot of the times the early adopters are the ones that do really, really well with new trends. So if you did like this, if you want to see more, if you want to see a part 2 in the future, DM me on Instagram at Ecom Legends Academy. I've also got a lot of mini tutorials on there. This is something that I talk about a lot on Instagram because it's very popular with my audience. It's very popular with my followers. So I'm giving them what they want, right? This is what you want to do. You want to give your audience what they want. So I'm going to continue posting more content like this there, but I love talking about this topic. Like I said, I could talk about this for a whole lot longer. So I really want to know if you found this helpful. With that, I'm going to sign off for this episode. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate every single one of you. Stay awesome, and always remember that you are just one design away. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. If you enjoyed this lesson, please leave us an honest review on whichever platform you are listening from, or drop a comment in the YouTube video and let us know how you liked it. Thank you so much again, and we will talk to you very soon.